Hey there everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today's video is about the 3 recipes that I cooked last week for my family. I made a family favorite called chicken galadril. It is a dish that has sauteed chicken, a wine and cream sauce. There's Parmesan cheese served over angel hair pasta with a side of broccoli. Just make your own garlic bread or French bread, and this is the perfect meal. Then I made what might be my husband's favorite. It is called Kung Pao chicken. It's an Asian dish, a little bit spicy, and I make it in my new wok. You can make it in a regular skillet. It's so packed with flavor, and we love this dish. Then, because local strawberries are in season where I live, I made a loaf of fresh strawberry bread with a strawberry glaze. Oh my goodness. This was incredible. It was really easy to put together and delicious. So let's just get into all the recipes, starting with chicken galadril. So tonight for dinner, I'm making chicken galadril. It is angel hair pasta. There's a creamy wine sauce, perfectly breaded and sauteed chicken. There's broccoli on the side. Serve it with some garlic bread, and this is just a family favorite. I've been making this since I was a teenager, actually. My family went out of town to visit some friends. The woman made chicken galadril for all of us, and because I love to cook even as a teenager, I asked her for the recipe and I've been making it ever since. So tonight, this is what I'm going to whip up. Now this comes together pretty quickly, I would say. I like to have my kitchen prepped. I have my broccoli already kind of cut up into florets. I have it in a steamer just ready for me to turn on. I have my pasta water ready for me to turn on, and I have a skillet ready to go. I have my chicken breast cleaned, and I did have to pound them just a little bit. I like them to be even thickness all the way across. I don't want a fat end and a skinny end because they won't cook evenly. So I pounded them just a couple times so that they are perfection. So I'm going to salt and pepper the chicken first, and then in a Ziploc baggie, I'm going to put some self-rising flour, a little bit more salt and pepper, and I just drop my chicken in, shake it around, and then it is perfect. So to get started on this recipe, I'm going to put a skillet over a medium-high heat and drop in 3 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to wait until that butter is completely melted and it starts to sizzle, and I'm going to drop in my chicken breast because I want them to brown up. I want the flour that's on the chicken breast to get golden, but I'm going to continue to bake these chicken breasts in the oven so that they stay tender and juicy. So really just cooking them in the skillet is for color. So I'm going to saute my chicken breast in the butter, and I'm going to cook each side for about 2 to 3 minutes until it's golden brown. Then I'm going to remove it from the skillet, put it on a baking sheet, and put it in the oven, which is on 325 degrees. I'm going to cook my chicken breast for about 10 minutes, pull them out of the oven, and just set them to the side. At this point, I'm going to turn on the water to boil my angel hair pasta and also turn on the heat to start cooking my broccoli. Both of those should take about 10 minutes total to get hot enough to cook. So in the meantime, I'm going to make my sauce for chicken galadril. So to my really hot skillet that I just took the chicken out of, I'm going to add in a half a cup of white wine, dry white wine or cooking wine. And you're going to hear the simmer and just the psh when you drop in the wine, but it's going to smell so good. So use a silicone scraper, just kind of get all the bits out of your pan, let that wine reduce down, and then add in 3 cups of heavy whipping cream. And yes, it is 3 full cups. Just trust me on this. I'm feeding 4 people tonight, and that 3 cups is going to reduce down as you cook it. And when you put the dish together, the pasta really just soaks up the sauce. So you're going to want extra. You're going to want plenty to take your bread and just sop up the sauce because it is so good. And if you are lucky enough to have leftovers, you'll be glad that you made plenty of sauce. So let that heavy whipping cream and wine mixture just cook over a low heat. You want to bring it to just a little bit of a simmer. Don't boil it. You don't want to separate your cream, but you do want to bring it to a low simmer so that it will thicken and reduce. And then once your sauce does start to simmer and thicken, you've got about 4 to 5 minutes and you're going to be ready to eat. So drop in your angel hair pasta. That should boil for 4 minutes. Your broccoli should already be steaming in the background, and just continue to stir and move around your sauce every so often. It should continue to thicken and reduce down. When you have about 1 minute left on your angel hair pasta, this is when you want to add in a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Stir it really well. And remember, Parmesan cheese is salty, so I'm going to add some freshly cracked black pepper to my sauce and just a little bit of salt. Taste it and season it to your liking. So now my angel hair pasta is finished, my broccoli is steamed, my sauce is reduced, and my chicken is fully cooked and out of the oven, and I'm going to put all this together. So I start by taking a really beautiful pasta plate, putting some angel hair pasta in the bottom, putting a big pile of steamed broccoli on the side, topping it with a gorgeous golden brown piece of sauteed chicken, and then spooning on that delicious sauce. So there you have it. That's chicken galadril. Easy to make, but so delicious. It's a family favorite of mine, and I know it's going to be a family favorite of yours too. So y'all, I'm so excited about this recipe. I'm making strawberry bread. I have a huge bucket of gorgeous strawberries picked just this morning from a local strawberry patch. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn my oven on 350 degrees, and I'm going to butter and flour my loaf pan the way my mama taught me to do it, by spreading butter all over the loaf pan all the way up the sides until it is fully covered. And I'm going to do this over the sink. I'm going to sprinkle in some flour, just a little bit, and kind of shake it around until my pan is covered. Do this over the sink because it's gonna make a mess. I don't want a whole bunch of flour. I want to make sure I get any big chunks off, but that looks perfect. In a medium-sized mixing bowl, I'm going to combine 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, a half a cup of milk, a half a cup of canola oil, 1 large egg, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Give that just a little stir. And I'm going to set that to the side. In a small bowl, I'm going to combine my dry ingredients. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And give that a little mix. So now I'm going to add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients slowly. Give it a little stir, and then just stir until combined. Scrape down the bottom of the bowl real good, and to me that looks just combined. So I'm going to take my bowl that I had my flour mixture in, and I have already cleaned and trimmed 2 cups of strawberries that I've diced up into just bite-sized pieces. I'm going to add the strawberries into this bowl and toss the strawberries with about 2 tablespoons of flour, just because this will keep the strawberries from sinking to the bottom of the bread. 1 more tablespoon. So they're all tossed in flour, and now I'm going to gently fold these strawberries into my cake mix or my bread mix. And I don't want to tear the strawberries open, so I'm just going to be very gentle. So now I'm going to pour the cake mixture into my buttered and floured loaf pan. Already it smells good and sweet, like fresh strawberries. Kind of even that out just a little bit. Then I'm going to pop this in an oven that's preheated to 350 degrees and bake it for 50 to 55 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center of the bread comes out totally clean. I'm seeing some juice, I think just from the strawberries, but I think my bread is fully cooked through. So I'm going to let it sit here on a cooling rack for at least 30 minutes and then we're going to dump it out and glaze it up. So my bread has been cooling for about 30 minutes. The pan is still just a little bit warm, but I need to dump this out. So I got out a long rectangular serving tray, which I thought would be perfect for this beautiful strawberry bread, and just turned it upside down and it came right out thanks to my buttering and flouring my pan. And then I just used my hands to flip it back over right side up. Look how beautiful this bread is. It is golden brown. You can see the juicy strawberries. They're kind of caramelized on the outside and it smells amazing. So while this is cooling, I'm going to make my glaze. I need 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar. Just put it in a small mixing bowl. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of melted butter. Add in a dash of vanilla and then just give this a stir. And you are going to think, this is not going to mix up, but I promise it will. Add about a 1/4 cup of finely diced strawberries, and as you start to mix this and the strawberries start to release their juices, I promise it will turn to liquid. If it will not get liquidy enough for you, you can add in about a tablespoon of milk or heavy cream. Once your bread is almost cold, like I could not wait, I cut a big, beautiful slice and drizzled it with that glaze, and oh my goodness, it was so good. Now this cake, you do need to keep it in the refrigerator when you are finished eating it for the evening. Cover it up really well, airtight container, or put some saran wrap on it. Store it in the refrigerator and also store your glaze in the refrigerator, but I promise this cake will not stick around very long. Tonight, y'all, I'm making Kung Pao chicken. This is one of my husband's favorite meals, and honestly, it's become one of my favorites too. Takes a little bit of prep work. I have 3 chicken breasts cut up into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to get the chicken in a marinade. I'm going to go on and whip up my sauce so it's ready for me. It's super easy. I'm going to dice up some veggies, and then once you get to cooking, it all comes together pretty fast. Oh, and I'm going to make some rice. I want to have that ready. So let's get cooking. Kung Pao chicken. So I already have my chicken cut up into bite-sized pieces and it is in a bowl. So I'm going to make the marinade and just pour it on top of my chicken. So for the marinade, I need 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. I'm just going to eyeball that. 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. And honestly, this is just a marinade. I could eyeball every bit of this. 2 tablespoons of sherry wine. I'm using a sherry cooking wine. And about 2 teaspoons of a neutral oil. I'm using canola, just so that it will coat the chicken. Stir this up and get that cornstarch dissolved. And then I'm going to pour it over chicken and just let it marinate while I'm prepping everything else. Kind of move this around so all my chicken gets touched by the marinade. Perfect. And in the same little bowl that I just made the marinade, I'm just going to turn around and make the sauce because there was no chicken in this bowl and it uses a lot of the same ingredients. So for the actual sauce, I do want to be a little bit more specific. So I need a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of dark soy paste or dark soy sauce, a 1/2 cup of chicken broth, 2 tablespoons of sherry wine, 2 teaspoons of hoisin sauce, a teaspoon of cornstarch, and a tablespoon of sugar. And just give that a good stir. I have everything on the stovetop ready to go. My rice is cooking, my wok is heating up, I have all of my ingredients out. I've already diced up half of a red bell pepper and about a third of a can of water chestnuts. You can absolutely cook this dish in a heavy bottom skillet. I love to do it in a wok. I will link my favorite wok in the description box below. Add about 2 tablespoons of canola oil to the wok. Make sure to wait until your oil is really hot and add in all of your marinated chicken. Now see how I'm letting that marinade kind of drip off of the chicken and stay in the bowl? You don't want to just dump the bowl in there because you don't want all of the marinade in with the chicken. Try to retain it in the bowl and just kind of set it at the side. So I'm straining my chicken out and putting it into the wok. Because you cut up bite-sized chicken, it is going to cook in about a minute or two. So just keep kind of tossing it around, and it doesn't have to be completely cooked through. It will finish cooking later on as we're making the meal, but strain your chicken out into another bowl, a clean bowl, and try to reserve all of that marinade that's in your wok. Leave it in there so that when you add your diced peppers, you cook those for about a minute or two. You want to get them soft, and you're going to add your water chestnuts. The marinade and the oil that was in your wok will help those to cook. You don't want a dry wok. Toss everything around, get it soft or crispy to whatever your liking is, and add in about a tablespoon of ginger and 3 tablespoons of garlic, and move those around in the hot wok about no more than a minute. They're going to become fragrant, they're going to start to cook, and then you want to add in your chili onion crunch. This is your spice. This is the heat. I added about a tablespoon. I don't like hot and spicy things, but my husband does. He can always add more to his plate. Then add in your sauce that you made earlier. The sauce is going to heat up, and because of the cornstarch in the sauce, it is going to start to thicken, and this will happen in about 1 minute. See, look at that. You can see it bubbling and starting to get really thick. This is going to continue to cook your peppers and your water chestnuts. And once it is thick enough for me, and I know it's going to coat the rest of my ingredients, I'm going to add in my chicken. This will continue to cook any bits of the chicken that were not fully cooked to begin with, and it's going to nicely and beautifully just coat all of that chicken. And when you're cooking this, you're thinking, wow, that's a lot of sauce. But once you get your chicken and the other ingredients in there and it starts to stick to everything, it really is the perfect amount of sauce. Then to the wok, I'm going to add about a handful of roasted peanuts, not salted, just dry roasted, another handful of sliced green onions, and some sesame seeds. Toss everything around, and oh my goodness, you should smell my house right now, and serve that on top of a big bed of fluffy white rice. Serve it with an egg roll or some spicy green beans, and this is the most delicious, full of flavor meal you could ever imagine. So that's what I'm whipping up in my kitchen. I hope you like these recipes and share them with your family. See you in the next one.